you got hurt fishing?
Didn't make it fishing. I got hurt loading the boat. Didn't make it that far.
Holy shit! You got like a
Uh,
cut?
yeah, I had to get stitches in my finger. I
Oh,
pretty much cut this one to the bone.
damn. Well, yeah. I mean,
So,
it's something like that seems that like small. Well, you can't fish if your hand is cut up, right?
well, yeah, I can't even bend my middle finger right now either. Plus, I'm more worried about infection. You're getting out in the
Yeah.
salt water, like just yeah. I've had two or three infections in my time now, and I'm not willing to go through another one. I just went ahead and got this shit stitched up and got some antibiotics.
Smart man. And how often you go fishing? It's a weekly thing, right?
As long as the weather looks good, I'll pretty much go every chance I get,
Oh, okay.
to be
Yeah.
fair.
So,
So,
uh,
right now the weather is great out, so I'm a little pissed off that I'm stuck like this, but it is what it is. And it
yeah,
sucks because we've had a really terrible season. Like this whole year has been terrible up until about 3 weeks ago. It's finally
yeah.
led up to the point it's looking like a usual Florida summer. We're just really late. So, yeah. Um, None red snapper season is this weekend, but I don't participate in that because there's going to be like a million boats out on the water this weekend.
Yeah. It's gonna be it's gonna be a lot. So how long you think you have to wait till you can go again?
Oh, it depends, man. Depends on what I want to do. Like it'll probably be a month before I'm going to be able to really grip and pull with my hand, like
Oh,
going to the gym. But I
damn.
think I'll probably be able to go offshore in 8 to 10 days.
Mhm.
I'll just use an electric reel.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I
I
use an
can
electric, just push a button and go.
that can
I'll be
help.
lazy about it.
As far as training, you won't be able to train back and shoulders and maybe
I
machines,
think
I
in
guess.
2 weeks, I think in 2 weeks I'll be somewhat okay.
Mhm.
I think it'll be probably a month before it's 100% because this cut was pretty deep.
Okay. There you go. Yeah. All right, man. So yeah, you're gonna be here in what's today? Well, it's 2 weeks, right? About 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're gonna be here in about two
Yeah.
weeks.
So I'll probably, let's see, I got to leave on Wednesday. So yeah, I'll probably go Wednesday morning or maybe Thursday, or sorry, maybe Tuesday and have the stitches taken out.
Okay.
So it's
Yeah.
like, it said like 10 to 14 days, and I'm going to wait as long as I can. So I'll do it like the day before. Or, I mean, if it don't look good, I'll just wait till I'm out there and clip them out myself. It's not the first time I've removed my own stitches before.
Oh
It's
wow.
really not a
Okay.
big deal to do that. I mean, you just literally just take like either like a box cutter, or you can use a fingernail clippers to sterilize it, obviously, first. You just get
Mhm.
there and clip it and pull it out, pull it through.
Okay. All right. And you get here Sunday night, late. You get here late Sunday, right? I know.
No, 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 no.
Early. I'm sorry, Wednesday. I'm sorry. Is it late Wednesday?
Give me a second here. I'm pulling it up.
Yeah, I think you
Yeah, I
sent
get
it to
there.
me.
No, I actually get there pretty early on Wednesday. I get there at 9 a.m.
Oh, okay. Well, that works. I
Yeah,
know.
9 a.m. Wednesday.
Josie wants to get a workout with you if possible, but she might have to come to this side of the town because
All right, that's
I guess
fine.
it depends how I'm feeling because some preps by that time I feel good. I feel good again, and by it's what that's 3 days out. Sometimes you actually feel pretty good 3 days out, decent. Sometimes you feel like shit. So it kind of depends if I could drive that far. But either way, I'm sure she'll come this way to work out with you. If needed.
Yeah, we'll figure it out one way or the other. three
Exactly.
days out, I'm not going very far. When I
Yeah.
was 3 days out, you're not going to get me to do a whole lot.
It's tough to be honest, man. Um, I have a gym in the apartment building. Obviously, if this was an off-season workout, it wouldn't work. But like a pump workout, like honestly, the last couple
Yeah,
of weeks is perfectly fine. And I'm like, this stack is heavy. I'm like, if it's always heavy, or am I just weak? I'm like, yeah, I'm probably kind of weak.
probably a good point.
Yeah, so they have everything I needed. So there was days, to be honest. Okay, so now hmm, I'm starting to find training kind of fun again. Okay. But the last, what are we, maybe the last 3 weeks, training was like j- almost like less exciting than even cardio. Like I was at that point because it wasn't,
Yeah,
it didn't feel
that
like
sucks.
me. Yeah, it didn't feel like, well, this is a good thing because it means I'm actually in shape. But training 5 weeks out felt like training usually feels for me like a week out.
Yeah,
That depleted feeling. The thing is, people look at my picture and they're like, "Oh, you look kind of full." I'm like, there's a difference between being round and full. I haven't been full
yeah,
once this prep. Well, you obviously know that. It's like I'm either empty or and a little bit less empty, empty, a little bit less empty, and people are like, "Oh, you're full. Look at the veins." I'm like, this is not full. What you're looking at is just structure, muscle belly, or fit. There's no fullness
correct. Yeah.
because
That's what
I'm
I would
working
tell
out.
people too, because people thought I was full, and I'm like, no, this is muscle insertion. This is not full at all.
Okay, but you know what makes sense? The way you used to train. You didn't train exactly like this all year round, but like in prep closer to the show, like 6 weeks out, the way you used to train, now it makes sense because I'm training and I'm like, I can't do this. It started becoming hard to do this all out failure set like Dorian J style because you just don't have that kind of, your muscle can't really do that. So it's almost like it's you're like, it's better to like just push blood in there. You know how you used to train pre-contest, you would do like a lot of sets to get to be able to connect with the muscle, right?
I would take them to failure in pre-contest, but I wasn't like I didn't feel it a whole lot, to be fair.
Okay,
Like I
exactly.
would take like I would still take my sets to the point the muscle is no longer moving the weight, but
Mhm.
I didn't feel a whole lot the last month of the show.
Exactly what I mean. So it's like the failure is different. It's like a burnt out, depleted failure. It's not like, oh, I'm giving it all. Okay,
Yeah,
it's
it's a
too
big
much weight.
difference in off season and prep failure.
Exactly. So my volume kept going down because the sets were so intense, but then it became like the sets aren't as intense as usual. So I almost had to bring my volume a little bit back up just to make sure I'm getting some stimulation, right? If like a newbie, you get a newbie, you do one set of bench press, that's not going to be enough to stimulate it. Whereas me and you, if we do one set of a bench press on a bunch of carbs, honestly, we could get a really good pump off of just one all out set. But at this point, I just couldn't. So I had to do like a few sets to failure, which is it's still failure, but it's a different kind of failure. And I was able to stimulate it. So everything kind of has to change because at the end of the day, everything has to be specific to yourself. There's guys who are training heavy. I've seen Kevin Levrone benching 5 plates 10 days out.
Yeah.
That's Kevin, man. I mean, a lot of us are so depleted and flat
I
that
did
that's
get
just
some
not
pretty
possible.
heavy weight in prep though, man. Like there was I think my best deadlift ever was 3 weeks out and I
Mhm.
did 675 for a set
Oh
of three or
wow,
four.
yeah, that's pretty
Yeah,
good. Yeah,
that was 3 weeks out, but I was just feeling it that day. I just felt good for whatever reason. I hadn't been deadlifting the whole prep. I just randomly
yeah,
walked in and pulled a PR like 3 weeks out.
yeah, yeah. That's
But I
it.
don't have those days don't come every time.
No, no, it's like the pressing strength is what seems to take the most of a knock for me. My squatting strength and deadlift strength is actually pretty good. It just taxes my nervous system so much that because for me, like, okay, I do 45 minutes of cardio. I do my workout. I still have to do 45 minutes of cardio after. So if I'm like a zombie, that's going to be hard because my cardio isn't like, I'm going off for a stroll. I'm actually pushing. So I need a little bit something to be able to do that, right? So if I'm deadlifting and squatting every week, I just get so, in the past, I would do that and I would get so fatigued that the cardio was like, bullshit because I just had to have nothing to push.
Yeah.
So you kind of have to find your sweet spot. But yeah, but I'm starting to find training somewhat fun again. just because we're getting closer to the show, and you could almost see the finish line. I don't feel like I'm stuck in a hamster wheel of suffering, So that feels nice. All right, but Justin, let's catch up on some shows. You've been keeping up, right? Shows up
Yeah,
on.
I actually just saw because I didn't see any real footage of the this past shows. The Big Man, is that what it was?
Yeah, big man show.
Big Evolution. Like I didn't see anything on Sunday. I wanted to see what happened, and I actually recorded a little bit of thoughts on with Leo on this. But we
Mhm.
were able to find. I think it was Nick Strength and Power actually had the video up, the comparisons, the first call out,
Oh, really? Okay, let
and
me pull that up too. Uh-huh.
yeah, I didn't agree with it to be honest. We'll wait till you get it up. The one thing I will say is that the guy Stefan, I don't know why I'm really impressed with the classic guy.
Yeah, yeah, he was pretty
Like
fucking
he's
good.
not the biggest guy, but holy shit, he's got great lines.
That guy's good. Let's see. Wait, which video? Is it live? Okay, I see it. Mr. Big prejudging. Which video has better? Is it prejudging or the finals video?
I don't know. Leo had sent it to me because I literally couldn't find anything on it. Like I didn't find anything at all on Sunday, so I just kind of gave up.
Okay, I'm gonna go finals then see.
I
Okay,
don't know which
boom.
one it was right off. I'm worried if I close out of this screen, it's not going to pop back up for me as well.
No, you good, brother. Okay, so okay. Let's start with
Yeah,
the
that's
let's start with
it
the
because
classic
he's
guy
some.
then.
Yeah, just because that was the one. That's the one I watched right here.
Yeah, that classic guy is so in the past. I felt like to make weight, he would lose that wow. I felt like he kept it, man. What do you think? I feel like he
Well, he
just
was one of those guys that, like I said earlier on another show, I followed him on Instagram. I've seen his stuff for probably a year, and I actually thought he was just going to be another Instagram bodybuilder, like with their filters, the way they get their
me too.
angles
Yeah.
right. But this guy actually delivered, and he looks like he does on Instagram. So kudos to him for that. And I think this guy, assuming that he can nail it at the Olympia, and by nail it, just replicate what he did here. I don't think he has to be significantly better. I could see him in the top five his first year there. I
Okay.
could see him placing the first call out.
So when they compare him to the other guy, right? He's almost harder from the front in the chest and quads and arms, shoulders, all that good shit. But from the back, the glutes, well, his actual back is in shape as well. The actual glutes and hams aren't super sharp. Now that being said, obviously genetics, right? Like I'm also similar. Like when I compare myself to people prepping a similar time, my front is like ahead of them, but their like glutes and hams are ahead of mine, right? Now, for him in particular, do you do you think that trying to get his glutes and hams as dialed as possible is going to benefit him, or he might end up just losing his wow?
No, I think it will because
Okay.
considering, then again, I don't know because of the time frame. I don't know how quickly this guy grows and puts on muscle. Because
Mm-hmm.
I'm just thinking there was the rumor or speculation that they fudged on his height. I don't believe that. I don't know why they would do it at a show like this, knowing it's not going to slide at the Olympia. So, like, I think his height is fine. So theoretically, if he's at the top of the weight class and he puts on a little bit more muscle, it's going to force him to get harder in order to make the weight.
Exactly.
So I think it
Definitely.
could play to his advantage.
Yeah. Yeah. See, the reason I asked that is in the past, granted, a lot of these European shows, the camera quality is kind of bad. So I'm sure everybody is much more peeled than they look in these videos, first of all. But that being said, I remember his past showings, like last year, he was smaller, flatter, not as round, and he still didn't have like shredded glutes and hams. So in my head, I'm like, I think you should only push so much before you're like, okay, this is probably not gonna happen. So let's go with the best look. But you have to push first to see if it goes backwards before you can kind of settle on one. But uh I I think I think like 5 pounds lighter, he would be even more dangerous. Not like 10,
Yeah.
15, but like
Yeah,
yeah.
no, he doesn't need, I think 5 is about all he would actually need.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so
So
this is where I kind of picked up on the open class as well. Nice and hush, buddy.
for the there we go. For the Cal to USA's, I dropped 15 pounds. And then it was like my glutes kind of came in and then they almost went backwards because of the flatness. So it's like you almost have to nail that specific look.
Yeah, there is a fine line on
Mm-hmm. All right. So looking at this lineup, who do you have 1 through 4 actually?
it. So I had it just flipping 1 and 2 personally. And Nathan has the best structure up there and probably the most potential up there, but I just felt like he was not as crisp as Bonnet, and that's why
Mm-hmm.
I had him winning this. He's even probably got more pound per square inch like muscle than Bonnet as well. Maybe not on the back double with the legs, because Williams' legs are pretty good on that pose.
Mm-hmm.
But like Nathan's a bigger version, he has a better structure. I just think his conditioning was slightly off the mark here.
Yeah, especially compared to Bonac. I gotta be honest. I think Bonac might actually be leaner and harder than he was in his prime. I don't think he's as full and as dense, but he actually might be in even better condition than in his prime. What do you
Yeah,
think?
he doesn't have the same pop and wow factor that he did like 6 or 7 years ago, 8 years ago. It could just be age catching up to him finally. I mean, he looks great here. I'm not knocking him. I mean, he's still hanging in considering how many years he's got in the sport.
Mhm.
I don't think this is his best look, but I think it
Yeah,
was the best look on stage that day.
I can see that. I can see that. So Nathan and Bonac have the same coach. What do you
Yeah, yeah,
think?
I know that.
What do you think if Stefan or Stefan kind of pulled a Nathan with Bonac, and knowing that William is always gonna have shredded glutes and hams and all that, and bring him in like crazy round and full like he's bringing Nathan, would that help Bonac or would that distract him?
If William can maintain the same crispness, then I think it would help him. And I don't know anything about Williams' prep or anything. I personally feel that William looked his best when he was with Neil. He's in shape here. But again, I'm not knocking Stefan on that because that could just be, when you have 6 or 7 years under your belt, or yeah, at that age, because he's Williams probably like low 40s, right?
Yeah, William is 42, I believe. I want to say.
Yeah, so him at that age, that may not be a coach thing. It may not be a William thing. That may be literally just father time catching up.
I think so. I think so. Yeah, still has his legs. Okay, what's stopping Amir from winning shows and moving up? Because looking at
I think
Amir,
just
mhm,
he just needs a little bit more size, in my opinion. Uh, not a ton, but I mean he's got condition. Hang on, Tyson, could you please shut up, dude? This is enough. It's enough. Lay down. Lay down. Lay down. 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 I have to settle him down, otherwise he will not shut up, man.
see,
And he's barking because he wants my attention, and he can see that my attention is somewhere else.
oh, okay, okay.
Uh, no, I
I
think
keep,
Amir, especially from here, I think this is probably where he's losing at. He needs a little bit more size and density from the backside. If you look at his legs there, especially like compared to William and Nathan, well, more
yeah,
William, but Nathan's got him there too. But Amir has immaculate conditioning. We saw him live in California. Like he is crazy hard. I just think it's going to take another year of him grinding it out. before he's actually winning pro shows.
Yeah, so before the Cal, I felt like he was a bit undersized, and I thought structurally, I thought he had some flaws, like maybe with his waist and stuff like that. But then seeing him at Cal, I'm like, I don't know. I think he's a big guy. I don't think he's as dense and filled in as these guys, but he takes up a lot of space and he has a big frame. I almost feel like that should be enough if you're in that kind of condition and peak that perfectly. Obviously, not against these guys. He's not going to beat these guys. But who did he lose to in Cal? Tonio? Okay, so
Uh,
let's look at it
yeah,
like that. The year before, Ross Patrick Salzbar's beat Tonio off of strictly conditioning,
yeah.
and then Amir is just as conditioned, but I believe bigger and fuller, right? So Tonio was bigger as well. So in my head, I'm like, and a lot of times that would be enough, but
Tonio
Amir,
was a little off in California. I'm not gonna lie. I didn't. That was not his best. Even though he won that show, that was not his best.
yeah. So like, why would Amir not be able to beat Tonio and Cal, being by far the most peeled and the biggest guy structurally and peaked perfectly? You know, you can.
Um, I could have made an argument. Like if Amir had won, I wouldn't have been upset about that at all.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. It's like
I mean, I
when
think
is it?
Tonio beat him strictly on structure and just having a prettier physique. He did not beat him on conditioning. And size, I mean, Tonio's a little bubblier and a little bit rounder, but I don't know if he actually has more muscle or not.
I don't think so. I don't think so, man. At this level, I know it's hard at this level. I will say in person when you're sitting there, it's a little bit easier, but still sometimes like but it's like sometimes once you get that nod the first time, you're kind of fresh in the judges' heads, and then you seem to get the nod more often because now that okay, this guy earned it. Okay, this guy is legit, right? And then kind of stay there, you know. But great show. Oh, what do you think about Wolski? Because you
He's the
said,
guy I
uh,
think he should shut it down and just regroup for the next season. And I actually think the same for Amir as well. Like both of these guys have done like 4 or 5 shows just back to back to back. So at this point, I've had this conversation because we've seen athletes do this over the years. When they have to do 6 to 8 shows to make it to the Olympia, by the time they get to the Olympia, their body is just exhausted and worn out, and they're not going to be anywhere near their best. And it's going to be a bomb showing for them. So, in my opinion, with him and Amir, I would shut it down, regroup, and just go back into an off season, improve more, and show up again next year. I mean, they both have good structures. Like I wasn't a fan of this guy when I saw him at in California, but the more I sit here and I look at his physique, he is rather complete.
he
Like he's not
is.
missing a whole lot. I think he just needs a little bit more. I think a little bit more muscle is going to give him a little bit more of a wow factor because he doesn't seem to have a lot of pop. He could just be horribly flat as well.
His legs are huge though. Holy fuck. You
Yeah, and
know.
he's not in bad condition either.
Okay, so that's the thing with the conditioning. Sometimes it's hard to tell. I'm like, I can't tell if he's peeled or almost. I think he's like almost peeled. I think he needs a
Yeah, he
little
could
bit.
be harder. He could be harder. Yes, I'm just saying. Like even if he got his Olympia qualification as points, like this is like 6 shows deep already this year. Like I wouldn't
Yeah.
want to go
Okay.
into the Olympia under those circumstances.
Yeah. Yeah. Man, some of these Europeans, bro, they're so strong minded, bro. Because in my head, I'm like, imagine like granted, my preps are a little more severe than a lot of people. But in my head, I'm like, imagine if I had to do another 4 shows. I'm like, even if I'm like, fuck it, let's do it because I know how to convince myself to get it done. Yo, I would be in such bad condition, bro. Mentally, physically, I wouldn't even be a human being. I don't think I would be able to work like for the next 8 weeks. I wouldn't be able to train. Like my training would literally be pump workouts. I feel like it would be such a disaster. Like it would literally be a disaster. I think my body by the end would, even from the Cal to the USA's, like what I lost, it almost feels like it was I lost more muscle in those 8 weeks than I lost fat. So I think most people, I think you have to be careful with doing all these shows, man. You know,
He doesn't look like he's lost any size.
no, he does
I
not.
just don't think he's really improved much since he did New York.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, he was on the podcast. His preps are pretty. I never want to use the word easy, but first of all he only loses about 15 pounds to get in shape.
Oh,
He's super. He stays very
I think
close.
if he could come down like 5 to 8 more, I think he could have moved up a spot or two here.
I think so. Who's his
Like
coach?
I don't know I don't know how you can knock the guy on symmetry. Like when I first saw him, I just was not impressed. But I think I wasn't impressed because he's a little flat here in my opinion. Like he just doesn't have the pop, but he has all the tools.
Yeah. Every time, I don't know how much
I
clients
would
you can
like
even
to
take.
see this guy, just out of
Uh,
curiosity, I would like to see this guy one night just eat everything that he could possibly eat and see how he wakes up looking the next day. I bet it would be
exactly.
ridiculous.
You see, anytime I see these guys, my first thought is like, especially if I know them, I'm like, I want to see them work with Compton. And the reason why I say that is more so, it's not even X's and O's. It's like just thinking outside the box, like what you just said, right? You know that no other coach would, well, not no other coach, very, very little coaches would actually prep me the way you're prepping me right now. I think they'll be scared. They're like, this guy, the big guy, there's no way he can eat that little food and do no, and they would just try to force it to fit this criteria that is just not for me, right? Same way you
Yeah.
said, just fucking eat like crazy. Most coaches be like, no, I'm scared. He's gonna spill. Sometimes when bodies aren't like we're not machines. Sometimes you have to go so far outside the box that it sounds stupid and it doesn't make sense. Like with Tonio, bacon and burgers. Like, why don't you just do rice and beef? I tried it. It didn't get the look. Okay, fuck it. So do the burger. So I think for thinking outside the box, like you don't go into it where like this is what he's gonna do. I'll speak to anyone in the it's completely different because we're so different that you just can't go with a preconceived plan. And I feel like a lot
So
of these
what I would
coaches. Mhm.
go ahead. My bad. Go ahead.
No, I think a lot of these coaches have a certain plan, whether let's go for fullness or let's go for this or whereas for you, I feel like you would just start with a completely open mind, like, I think you're flat. This is gonna sound crazy, as big as you are. I think you're flat. Let's fucking eat.
The first
And
show,
then
so if I only had like one prep with this guy, the chances of him showing up a little bit flat would have probably been high because if it's only one prep, I don't want to run the chance of him spilling over. Like I would have rather him gotten fifth in New York
mhm,
a little bit flat as they ended up in the second or third call out because we were spilled over. But then the more I see him and I just think the guy is flat, at that point, I probably would have taken like somewhere between shows is where I would have said, okay, you know what? We're going to take this weekend and we're going to trial run it. We're not going to compete. We're not going to do any tan or any shit like that, but we're going to pretend that we are. And that's
yeah,
when I would have pushed him hard. Just I would have went all out with the food.
I can see that.
Considering you said he has an easy prep, it sounds like he has a good tolerance to carbs and probably a fast metabolism.
He
So
does, yeah,
I
definitely.
would push it hard just as a trial because I wouldn't want to see this guy continue to do multiple shows back to back to back to back and still show up looking pretty much the same.
I agree. So don't quote me, but when he was on the podcast, he said something along the lines of he does about 30 minutes of cardio 3 times a week, something like that.
Okay.
But he doesn't actually feel like he needs to do it to get in shape. It's more so like you do it from the off season, you continue it to keep like a
Yeah.
basic heart health and shit like that. So
Was he on the Fit Nation show?
yeah, he was.
Okay.
Uh, uh,
How's his English?
you know what? A lot better than you would think. So
Okay.
there's different kinds of accents. Some people like Arnold have a thick accent, but their English is perfect, technically. Perfect grasp on the language, but a very thick accent. He's the opposite.
Okay.
He has like a 60. 50, 60% grasp on the language, but he doesn't have a thick accent. So you can hear everything he says clearly. He just has to think about like, how you say, yeah. But it was pretty seamless. Way better than I thought, you know. I didn't think
I
he
got
spoke
you.
any English, you know. It was good. But this is I don't know if it's just me. I think this is a wild physique. Look at the arms, look at the waist, look at the
Yeah,
legs.
he's got the tools to do this, man.
Yeah, this is impressive. Well, shout out. What seemed like a really nice guy too. So I know everybody can't work with Compton, but I could I could try. You know. Oh yeah. So this is New York. Okay, this is Tonio. Yeah, Tonio. He does have a really nice looking physique. Yeah. Okay. All right. Let's check out a couple of. I want to get your opinion on a couple of things, and then we'll get into the questions. Okay. Wait, what is this? Oh, classic. Okay.
This for Vancouver.
Was that? I think that was. This is 212. Atlanta. What the fuck is this? Atlanta
Yeah, I
Classic.
saw that the other day.
Oh, I don't know about that. I never know heard about
I'm
that.
going to say Karras is going to take that.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah,
I like David
10%.
Henry. I just think David, at this point, I think David's got to call it. His time has came and gone.
Yeah, as with everybody, right? Eventually.
Well, I mean, he
Okay,
won the 202 Olympia in 2008. So, I mean, 2008 or 2009. So, I mean,
it's quite some
that seems
time.
like a
Yeah,
lifetime ago now. That's 16 years ago.
that's quite a minute.
Yeah,
Right,
and prior to that, he was doing the Open, and he was finishing top 10 in the Olympia in the Open at like 200 pounds.
which is insane. Okay, how do you feel about Samson's improvements in his actual back dub? Well, I think he does both poses. So in his back,
It looks bigger and it looks better. I think with him, Tyson, please, buddy, hush. He hates it. Like he can see that I'm talking to someone that's not him.
he don't like the.
He does not like it at all. But yeah, he looks really thick here. And as far as from a muscularity standpoint, he's looks fucking great. It's just going to be a matter of whether or not he can nail that conditioning or not, and also whether or not he can hold that muscularity as he diets down.
Yeah, yeah. But you know what? I've seen parts of his prep where he looks like he's on target to be peeled. So honestly, I feel like a lot of it is overcarbing. I don't know what they do, but if it seems like at some point when he's flat and dry, he looks pretty on target. I think because of his size, he's still eating probably possibly too much for carb up, which it might not be much, but for him, it might be a
It's still
lot.
too much.
You know, I don't know. I don't know the diuretic protocol. I don't know any of that. So, but hey, he's doing great. And we have to give him credit for how much he's improved from a second call out guy in Europe to Arnold, a top three guy. So even I feel
Yeah.
like people are hard on him, even though he literally has improved more than anybody we've ever seen improve in the last 3 years. I don't think any bodybuilder has ever improved that fast and climbed that fast, besides maybe Brandon Curry going to Kuwait.
Brandon
So
was an example of like someone who always had the potential but never really nailed it until he did. Same
mhm.
with Samson. And the only other guy that I can think of, and I don't like to compare anyone to him, but is Ronnie.
Yeah, yeah, I agree.
Ronnie always had that potential, but when he nailed it, I mean, he crushed a lot of dreams at that point.
Yeah, it's like everything is there. There's just one missing link, usually like
Yeah.
some kind of coaching or some kind of
Well,
um
Rami was kind of like that too for a long time, but unfortunately, I think by the time Rami finally nailed the conditioning, his physique was going backwards.
yeah, yeah. When he won, it actually wasn't his best looking
It was not his
physique.
best look at all. I don't think. I mean, it was the best on stage that day, but that was not the best look he's ever
No,
had.
no. I actually saw a video of him online, and I forget what year it was, but he looked insane. His glutes weren't peeled, but at that point, like we talked about, I'm like, I
I
think
don't care,
that's
right?
still a way better look. Like,
Yeah, I
that's
was
my
looking
only.
at 2013, 2014 when he won the New York Pro. It was lights out. Like I think they ended up giving him like seventh or eighth at the Olympia. And a little bit of that was some bullshit though, man, because they put Branch and Jay over him and that should
I
have
remember
never
that.
happened.
That
That
was
should have
that. Yeah,
never happened.
that was insane. That was insane. You
Like
mind
even
turning?
when he is off, do what?
You mind turning your phone sideways?
Yeah, let's see how it works on this.
Wait, is that a phone or a iPad or something?
No, it's my phone.
Okay. Yeah.
Better?
Perfect. Perfect.
Okay.
Yeah,
I
that's
forget
insane.
because I did the show with Leo and he does it on YouTube and you can't turn it sideways on YouTube. You know, like a
Oh,
YouTube live.
he does it live. Yeah,
Yeah, you can't go sideways on
I can't do lives because we always say something we shouldn't say.
it. I usually do anyways. He just lets it go right on.
Well, because I also at one point I was trying to get the guys to not say certain things, but the convo flows better when we just talk like the camera's off. So
Yeah,
say whatever you want, and I'll just if I have to, I'll
edit,
edit it.
edit what
I
has to be, edit what has to come out.
exactly. Usually when it's talking about somebody else's business that I don't want to bring up, or obviously if it's not kosher. Some things are just not kosher. All right, but
Yeah.
let me pull this back up. I'm really impressed with this guy, not just because he's my friend, but because
Oh, Jordan.
yeah, he always had a very nice balanced physique. But I'm really impressed with the size. You know, I didn't know he put on that much in the off season. He doesn't have like crazy round muscle belly and stuff like that. So you can't really tell what he has going on until he's in shape. And then now you see everything. It's like it really came together, really full and round and thick, but also in really good shape. But he's been in shape for a while now. The glutes are in.
And he's doing Vancouver, right?
Yeah, right. He's doing wait, he's Chicago? No, I think he's no Chicago. Chicago. He's not doing
Hey,
Vancouver.
hang on just a second, man. I'll be
Uh
right
huh.
back. Hold on just
Yeah,
a
of
second.
course. There you
Yeah,
go. All
hopefully
right.
we have no more technical difficulties now.
No, you good. All right. Let's get into some questions. Huh. Yeah, amount of volume split. Okay. Basically, what would how would you describe your training style? Amount of volume split, and when did you grow the most? I guess what training style did you find you grew the most on?
I grew the most on higher volume training, and I do high volume, but I take my sets to failure even with the high volume. And I also, this will not work for very many people, but I did high frequency on top of that. Like I was getting certain body parts 2 and 3 times a week, like when I was growing the most. But you also got to realize my recovery was really good. Like all I had to do was eat, sleep, and work out. That was my life. I didn't have a job. Like I was being paid as an endorsed athlete. So that's something that a lot of people they see that style of training, but it may look enticing, but it may not be for them. But for anybody else, I just think making sure that you're maximizing the workout that you have. That's the first place where people screw up is like you're in the off season and you're not taking sets to failure. I think you're leaving things on the table. I see so
Yeah,
many people talking about like leaving things in reserve. And if you have injuries or if you're afraid of that, great. Like do that. But like if you're young and you're healthy, I don't see any reason why you shouldn't be pushing yourself all the way.
yeah. See, you'll probably agree with me when it comes to like training and diet. It's like when you have enough experience, there is no one style, right? There's no like I'm going to the
Correct.
gym. This is my style. It's always flowing and changing because you should be. I know you are, and I do as well. You should always be learning and getting better. So it's literally always changing. Every 4 or 5 weeks, I'm learning something new about my body, even 10 years into it. So I'll be like, nowadays this machine just hurts my traps. Now I'm doing this,
Yeah.
right? You
And
know,
as we go on, things that felt good and felt good 5 years ago might not feel good now. So when it comes to exercise selection, you do got to go with what you feel the best.
simple as that. Even
Because
if
you
I'm like,
have two good examples is Tom Platz always talked about the squat being the king of exercises, and then you had Dorian who didn't do squats.
exactly, exactly. Some people, my boy Janicki loves leg press. Oh my God, leg press is fucking love it. I don't connect well with it. It doesn't have to be an actual back squat. I like squatting movements, but close stance and using like pushing off my toes. You actually told me to do that
Yeah.
like 3 years ago, and look at my quads back then versus now. Night and day
Yeah, it's something
difference.
that a lot of people don't realize, but like they'll change their technique for a few weeks or a month, but like big changes don't happen in a month.
No,
But
it takes
speaking
time.
of
It takes.
Janicki, he's doing the show this weekend, right? Vancouver.
He's doing the amateur and then the pro the day after, I believe it is.
So he's banking on winning it then.
Yeah, I mean,
I mean,
realistically,
he's got a good chance. I can't knock the guy.
I I just don't I don't see I don't know the landscape. I just don't see anybody in Vancouver, any amateur in Vancouver that would be he like I see him pretty regularly. He's a big guy, man, and he's only bigger and actually harder than he was last year. So I I I I don't I don't think it's going to be close in the amateur ranks. I actually think uh I actually think is going to be good for him to stand next to some pros just to show his frame, to show how big he is, To think about it, like Stanimal there, like he the bigger guy than Stanimal, you know what I'm saying? So I mean, obviously Stanimal is peeled, but I think it's a great move, man. I think it's a great move. He had the
I want
huge.
to see him at 100% in shape, and I don't think we've seen that yet. I didn't
Yeah.
see him at 100% last year at the USA's.
No,
Hopefully, he
no,
can get there though.
yeah, yeah. When he was flat before he carved up, his glutes were in.
Oh,
His glutes were
really?
in. Yeah.
You mean last year
Obviously,
or now?
last year. Obviously, he has some inflammation there in his glute. But even without that, possibly, I won't say he spilled, but mm, I think he probably could have been less full, right? I think he would have looked
Yeah.
tighter, less full. That's just, I'm not in his
That might
camp.
have been
It's
his
just
game
my,
plan though, going into it, is knowing that was because didn't he put on like 40 pounds or something?
he did. And you know what it is? He might have lost that muscle if he came in flat. You might have not seen that muscle translate.
But I
He
think
did
he was
classic,
probably banking on being the biggest guy on stage too.
which it worked. And so it worked to his advantage. If Joe wasn't as peeled as he was in the glutes and hams, then he probably would have won. But
Yeah,
obviously, just that stark comparison is it's impossible to not go with the peeled glutes and hams.
yeah,
So I think it was a good strategy. I think it would have worked in if Joe wasn't as peeled as he was, it probably would have worked. But that's why you always say always err on the side of condition, just in case.
yep,
You know. Okay. What was the question? Oh but it's so fluid with the training. Like I don't even do like deloads. It's more like, you know what? I've been deadlifting every week and it's just taxing me out. So I'm not gonna deadlift these next couple of weeks, right? Or these squats are really just, you know, tearing my legs apart. I'm gonna take a little break from that. So it's not like I wouldn't just say, oh, I'm tired. Let me just train at 50% for a week or 2 weeks.
yeah,
I go day by day. Today I feel like shit, and I have arms. I don't need more arms, so instead of doing 15 working sets, I'm gonna do 8. And I'm sure you even if you do 20 sets for back, usually you come into the gym and you do 10 sets and you get everything you need and you're exhausted. You're gonna be like, I think I'm good, right? It's fluid. You don't have to stick
I
to.
was a little different when I would prep. I would channel every single ounce of energy I had into my training,
Mhm.
and then I was just dead the rest of the day, just completely dead.
Yeah.
Like getting me to talk to you and have a conversation was difficult.
Yeah.
Like when I'd be in the
Yeah.
gym, I there was times that like I remember me and Dallas used to talk about this, and he would be like, when you're in the parking lot, he's like, do you ever have to hype yourself up and tell you that it's a good idea to go in here and train hard? I'm like, every fucking day, man. Like when I'm like
Yeah.
4 weeks out and closer, I would sit sometimes 15 or 20 minutes in the parking lot and just be like, okay, this is what
Yeah.
you're gonna
Move.
do. And I'm like, all right. And then 10 minutes goes, I'm like, you're not fucking doing anything. I'm like, come on, get the fuck up, get in here and fucking do this. So I had to get myself right, like upstairs before I could go in and do it.
But sometimes the more you think about it, makes it work. Especially if you're hyped up on a bunch of stims and you're that tired, you start
Oh, I
overthinking. Yeah, you're like,
mine
okay.
was asleep, man. I was tired as shit too.
I would sit there, but okay, so do you turn the car on first, or do you take a sip of water first, or you know what I'm saying? Or it's the stupidest shit. Okay, do I go to the stores today? I don't know. I don't think I can go to Trader Joe's. Okay, maybe tomorrow. Okay, when I pull up at home, you just start over analyzing because you have so limited energy. You're trying to perfect it. Oh man, I don't know if I can do this. Okay, maybe I'll.
Yep.
Okay, I don't. It's the weirdest
That's
shit.
kind of
You
how it
go in circles.
was.
Yeah, it gets bad. When I start doing that, I try to shut down. I'm like, let me just stop thinking because it makes you so much more tired and anxious when you keep thinking about, oh, I still have to do this, I still have to do that. You got to do one step at a time, man. But
Yep.
I actually tried that. I tried leaving it all on the gym and exhausting myself. The only issue is now I wouldn't have energy for cardio, which for me, I have to give that energy to cardio. If I think if you don't need a lot of cardio, you should approach it like just burn yourself the fuck out with training. Just deplete the shit out of yourself with training. That would be more fun. For sure, it'd be more fun, first of all. And I think it would get the job done. If you're somebody who just needs a shit ton of cardio and little food, you you might have to take it easy on the volume just in order to be able to really push,
Yeah, I
unfortunately.
think if you're someone who's genetically blessed enough to be able to get away with just training, then that's what you should absolutely be pushing. I remember John Meadows used to talk about that. Is he would say like he would have some of his guys do 2 training sessions a day instead of the cardio.
I love that.
And
I used to
obviously,
love that.
there is a downside to that. I mean, it depends on are they progressing, are they losing body fat, but you also got to think with the 2 a day trainings and the low food, how much volume are they doing? How hard are they pushing? Because you got to think long term. There's been very few people that can train twice a day for months on end. Probably Roman, Milos,
Jay.
Jay, yeah, but I'm thinking like CK levels and stuff like that, getting a little too high, you end up in
Oh,
rhabdo. Like for people, it's literally if you're going to the gym doing 40, 50 sets in the morning, 40, 50 at night, and I was pretty known to do 30 to 50 sets. If I did that in the morning and I did that at night, chances are I would have put myself in rhabdo because I didn't know how to go in and just train leaving 3 in the tank. I'm taking every set to failure, and I think ultimately it would have done me more harm than good. Even though I enjoyed
yeah.
it, I'd much rather do 50 sets. I'd much rather do 50 sets of legs as to do 30 minutes of cardio. I hate
Mhm.
cardio.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I've been in rhabdo quite a few times, so I've learned in the last 3 years or so that I've been doing it all wrong for my body. Like my body needs the least effective volume to get it done.
Yeah.
Part of that, yeah, part of that is just the food. I think my food is so low that it's just part of the course for me. Just because I
Yeah. In
can
order
push.
for you to get lean, when we have to take those measures, you're not going to be doing like 40 sets in a workout. It's just not going to happen.
No, no. But I found that I actually put on more muscle with less volume. You know what I'm saying? So go
No, you
figure.
absolutely can.
Yeah. But it's like I literally just love train. I've always loved training, so it wasn't even a thought. I was like, I want to do more. But I'm at a point now. I think being 31, that even though I love training, I'm okay. I'm okay with doing less. I have shit to. I'm sure you get it. I have shit to do. I got a lot of work to do. So I'm like,
Yeah.
if I could be in the gym 40 minutes instead of an hour and a half, that's actually a blessing. So the same thing that I thought was a curse, now I'm like, it's kind of a blessing that I can do 30, 40 minute session and grow even more. I'm like, that's great. Fuck it, And then
Yeah.
less food, I save money. Fuck it, I'll take it. Same difference. Okay, let's do a couple more. Wait, yeah, saw some good ones. What's your best advice? Yeah. How do you know when to increase your client's calories in growth phase? That's pretty simple, I think.
Yeah, you want to do that one?
Increase when their weight stops stops going up for the most part. I mean, unless they're looking better at the same weight, or I'm trying to make sure their digestion is on point, or other than that, when their weight stalls, I usually push it up. If we're in a growth phase, once the weight stalls, I usually push the food up personally.
Yeah, as long as the conditioning is still looking the course, and as you're increasing that food, you're starting to see. You want to see what you want to see. You want to see actual muscle fullness. You're getting the biofeedback. Are you getting stronger? How's things going? Versus I don't want to push it up for the sake of having bigger numbers on the scale. Otherwise, you can get some people fat really quickly by doing that. So if I can see that you are progressing in the right direction, I'm going to continue putting the food in. Like I don't
Mm-hmm.
set a number like, oh, we're going to gain 20 pounds, we're going to gain 15, we're going to gain 40. I don't do a number with it because some people can just grow for extended periods of time and they don't seem to gain a ton of body fat, while other people 3 to 4 weeks after a show during that rebound, like they're fat as shit, and it's like we got to stop. Now chances are they're sliding in some extra food as well because it's that
Yeah, that
post
happens too.
show. But still, like once they get to a certain level of body fat, that's when I'm like, we need to scale back. And I try my best to convince people too when it gets to that level, like let's do a mini cut. We're going to go one step back in order to go two steps forward.
Man, young guys hate that mini cut. Young guys,
No,
they don't like that mini cut, right? They don't. Well, it's either one or two things. They either don't like to push the food up, or they don't like to cut down. It's one or the other. They're always
yeah.
one direction.
I
But
think as you get older, you realize you don't like carrying around that extra weight. So it's like if I can get rid of 15, 10 pounds, whatever I need to get rid of, I'd rather just be lighter on my feet.
yeah, exactly.
I'd rather
The
eat
long,
less. I mean, I find when I was in my early 20s, I was a bottomless pit. Like I could continue eating it. Like I could have probably eaten 8,000, 9,000 calories of clean food a day at that point in my life and not complained about it. But when you do that for a decade, you don't want to eat that shit no more. So it's
no,
like
no.
by making me a little bit hungry and backing off the food, it's kind of a blessing. And the fact that I've got benefits that go with it too, like I'm all for it.
That's the best feeling. After like a hard push phase with the food, pull the food back. I love it. Like the first 8 weeks of prep, I was loving it, bro. I was getting stronger. I was feeling great, looking better. That was fun. So all right, I think I'm gonna do one more.
All right.
How do you decide with refeed if you want to keep it clean or if you want to do more calorie dense cheat like meals?
Okay. That's a broad question. So when he says refeed, let's just assume that he's talking about contest prep, right?
Yeah.
Or refeeding during like a mini cutting phase. So this comes down to a couple of things. And I'm going to go ahead and state the obvious on the first one. It depends on how long I've worked with the person and how much I can trust them when it comes to going out for like a cheat meal or burger, fries, whatever. Because I've told people when I have them do that, I say, here's your window, 1,500 to 2,000, 2,000, 2,500, depending on how big they are, how quick they're dropping weight, and how they're looking, we kind of dictate on how much food I want them to have. And then obviously, sometimes I'll have people check in like the very next day because I want to see, was it enough? Was it too much? And then that's going to be a trial and error. But I don't like to go with that option unless I know the person, because I've had so many people send me a message the next day, hey man, yeah, I had the meal last night, but I went way overboard with the calories. I'm like, that's what I was worried about was you put them in a restaurant, You put them around friends and family where there's a little bit of peer pressure, and they kind of relax too much. And the next thing you know, 1,500 calories. And think about it, when you're hungry, you can eat 4,000 calories, 5,000 calories pretty damn quick before you realize it. Like I know
Yeah,
for a fact, I can still sit down to this day. I can sit at a restaurant and I can eat 5,000 calories in one single sitting. Like
yeah,
I know I can do it. And I
100%.
know, and that's me not dying. I can still do that. So when you got somebody who's hungry and if they're not diligent enough, those are the ones, if I'm questionable, I just refuse the dirty meal. Like if I
Yeah,
know that they're going to do this, I refuse it. Now, there is times I think that that dirty meal does tend to have a little bit more of an effect rather than just me saying, hey, you eat more rice today. So when I get really close, like say 6 weeks or closer, not everyone, but I do try to keep it to clean meals just because that's probably what I'm going to carb you up with. And I don't want to throw anything out there. It's going to be a curveball.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
But I do
I
have
get
people
it.
though, like I've had some that I literally will watch their body and I'll say, hey, what did you eat on your last one? If I can say they're eating within the range I want them to eat at, and I'm getting a better response. Like I get a better response out of people replacing that final meal tonight with a burger, fries, pasta, whatever, and then just going straight to bed on it. It's like it creates a really big metabolic effect. And
Right.
oftentimes the next day they wake up, they're lighter and they're harder. Like
100%.
I've got a guy right now that he's about to make his pro debut in classic, and that's literally been the meal ticket for him is the refeeds and the cheat meals. He's done so much better on that than me trying to keep things consistent.
I like I like
I've
the
worked with him
visual.
for like 2 years, so like I've got a really good grasp of how his body works, though.
Yeah. I feel like I like the visual effects of the cheat meals, but for a lot of people, including myself, mentally, it's not good. It's like I'm somebody. If I'm suffering and I'm in my suffering zone, I have to stay in that suffering zone because the
Yeah,
issue is that what I have to do to get in shape is so extreme for at least for me. I guess compared to anybody, maybe that if I let myself out of that, if you're like yo Beatty, next 2 days, no cardio, no training, go out and eat with your family. For me to like get that relief and satisfaction, 2 days from now is going to be very hard for me to go do 2 hours of cardio
I'm
and
really
dirty
glad to hear
carbs. It doesn't mean I can't do it, but it won't be the same. It won't be the, I guarantee you, no matter how hardcore I think I am and I think I can do anything, when I'm doing that cardio, I'm dreading it so bad, it's not the same intensity. It's just
I
not,
actually think I'm similar to you in that regards. Like it takes me a little while to reel myself back in once I let off that gas.
you know? So I find myself almost trying to torture myself purposely just to keep myself in line. It's the weirdest thing. So I'm like, okay, I'm home. It's time to eat. I'm not gonna eat yet. I'm gonna do another 30 minutes of cardio before I eat. I know I can do it later, but fuck it, I want to get even more hungry. But honestly, it almost works. Like when I leave my body depleted like that, I'm not somebody who's gonna lose muscle per se. I really tap into that fast. So I'm like, what time is it? I still haven't eaten. Fuck it, let me do cardio. Let me do some more cardio, and then that keeps me sharp. And it almost doesn't feel like suffering. It just feels like regular life. If you've been homeless for 3 years, you're just homeless. There's nothing new.
That's oh,
Yeah, your first day being homeless, and you're like, I have to sleep right there on the street. Oh fuck, So I don't want to go back to day one. I want to be on day 30 and be like, fuck it, I'm just suffering, but it's not suffering. It's just normal life. That's where I'm at
yeah.
right now. So right now I'm just like, okay, hour and a half cardio, no problem. But you let me get that break. I'm with family. I thought I won't even go hang out with family. Unfortunately, after like 6 weeks out, unfortunately no, because I'm getting that release and I'm happy and I can't be that happy because I got to go right back to misery. So let's keep it misery. I want that relief after the show. Now I'm with my loved ones. I'm relaxed. I relax my mind. I don't have to go do another 2 hours of cardio. So I'm good. So it's for me, it's better. The way we did it this year, I can legit tell you I have no cravings. I've never said that in my life. There's never been a day in my life I haven't had cravings, whether it's maybe peak off season. But I've never had a prep where I can walk down the snack aisle and have somebody eating a cookie and I don't give a fuck. I don't even care. So
Yeah, not me. Every contest prep, every mini cut, every diet I've ever done, my Pinterest grows bigger and bigger with the food items.
you see, well, I notice people who eat more food usually have bigger appetites, even if you're forcing down the food. I'm
Yeah,
sure you have, yeah. So I guess the good thing about eating less food is that my stomach just shrinks at some point, and I
yep,
don't get I don't get that hungry. When you give me
yeah.
when you
So you
give
probably won't binge as heavy post show.
I don't think so. Now, when you give me the refeed, it's most people's depletion carbs is my high day, but it does stimulate my appetite. I'm not gonna lie. Those days
No,
I'm like,
no,
ooh,
so that's the
I could
point of it.
exactly. But like you said, like the weight sometimes goes down. I swear, you gave me those two days, and I woke up the same exact weight, and I'm like, huh. You would think I would gain some weight, but no. At this point, I think the body is just, you know.
Yeah, and I like that because I knew when we pulled the food back out, it was going to let go of some.
Yeah, yeah. You do use the bathroom more too when you eat the carbs sometimes. Yeah,
Yeah.
no. I've been doing fibrilize too, and it's really been the when I get to a point where I start getting a little bit of distension for whatever reason with the protein and then the low carbs, and then I guess removing the carbs, but I had the fiber in, and the things flow a lot better, especially fibrilize in particular, because I've tried other fibers and I didn't get that. So
I will say that I don't use it personally because I have no more issues. But back when I was having issues, I really don't want to give Dave a plug on this, but I will. I'll say I'll be honest. Like his product was superior than just going to Walmart and picking up Metamucil.
I don't know why, but
It take
it's
you can tell it's not even though it says psyllium husk on the label and it doesn't say anything else, it doesn't have the same taste or texture as like regular Metamucil or just plain psyllium husk would. Now, my guess, and I might be wrong on this, maybe Dave has went to the manufacturer and said, "Hey, rather than grinding it up to the smallest, finest particles you can, maybe leave them a little bit bigger. That way, I don't know. I'm making shit up as I go here. I'm trying to think because his
uh-huh.
label doesn't say it has anything else in it, but it does have a different effect.
Yeah, and everybody agrees. Everybody agrees. And
Could
I've
be
heard
the
people
source that
swear.
he's getting from too, that like where the psyllium husk is coming from.
Yeah, yeah. I didn't. I've heard everybody talk about it, and I just wasn't swayed. But my ex had some, and she left it here, and then I tried it, and I was like, wow, I'm actually impressed.
I
I'm
kind of
actually
like it,
impressed.
yeah.
Yeah, and
Roman kind
it.
of got me doing it like 10 years ago.
Oh yeah. Well, but it also like satiate is a strong word, but it keeps me a little fuller if I have a before
Well,
after meal.
fiber in general will do that.
Yeah, yeah,
It'll keep your blood glucose in check a little bit better, and it does kind of tend to curb your appetite.
yeah. So it's been a game changer for me personally. Yeah, Dave don't sponsor me. I don't know if he sponsors anybody, but it works. So I'll be honest, man. But
Yeah, I think that might have been the product of his that I did prefer. That and he had I don't think he even does it anymore, but they had a vanilla peanut butter isolize that I really like that flavor.
yeah, yeah. You remember Johnny Styles that used to work for
Yeah,
RX?
yeah.
He used to go when I used to bounce. He used to go to the club Copacabana, and he would bring me like tubs of like isolize and fiberlize and stuff like that. It was cool.
Nice.
I would let him in because I knew him. Hey Johnny, you good? Don't worry about it. So then he just started looking out for me and bringing me a bunch of shit, and I appreciate
Yeah,
that.
that's a good deal.
You can't beat that. All right, Justin. I don't want to hold you too long. I appreciate you for coming on. I don't know how I'm still doing this because I woke up today like there's no way I can sit here and talk, but
Right. Well,
when you're friends and I'm not like interviewing strangers, It's different. If you were a
Yeah.
stranger, I wouldn't be able to do it. I'd be like, I'm sorry, I can't do it today.
Well, maybe we'll get one next week, and then after that, that's going to be peak week for you, so we'll probably have off that week.
Yeah, I want to film some content with you. I have a guy. Let's see if I have the energy. I don't know.
Yeah, let's
I
play
want
it
to
by
try
you.
to.
Know what you feel
Yeah,
like.
it's gonna happen. I mean, we got more trips. We'll get some content regardless.
Well, there's Texas too.
exactly. Yeah, because I never really got good content with you, but we'll do it eventually. Right now, yeah. Let's. I
Yeah,
guess
I won't
let's
be
focus on
lifting in
peak.
California because of this.
Good point. Yeah, good point. Okay. All right. So
I'll be
yeah,
completely
next time.
off.
Next time. We'll try to we'll try to I'll try to convince we're gonna try to convince you to come out to Olympia too if possible if we have to kidnap you.
Is
It's gonna be a
that's in
lot.
Vegas again, right?
October in Vegas, yeah,
Okay, yeah, that's what I was thinking.
yeah. We'll see though. One step at a time, one thing at a time. All
All
right,
right, yeah, we'll get through the cow and then get through Texas and go from there.
yes sir. All right, Coach. Appreciate you for everything, and
All right, man.
enjoy the rest of your day. Speedy recovery.
Yeah, man. Talk to you soon.
All right, brother.